Hi guys, it's Katie with String Expert. Today we're going to learn the first half of Minuet. Let me play it for you so you can hear what it's supposed to sound like. This piece is really challenging for a lot of different reasons. But the first thing to think about is the string crossings, because we have a lot of them. And so what we're going to do is play through each note very, very slowly, individually, and make sure that we cross the strings at the right spot. So let's go ahead and make each note staccato. Now it is kind of staccato, but it's not going to be as rough as we're going to start out practicing it, because we want to be very clear about making sure that we change strings. So we're in the key of G minor, so we're going to have an F sharp, which is a high first finger on the E string, and then we're going to have a low second finger on the A and the E string, and a high second finger on the D and the G string. Okay, so let's get started. So we have G, and then we're going to change strings for the B, then we D, and we're going to change strings for G natural, change strings for open A, and then F sharp, and then G, and then change again for the G, G. Now, this main melody repeats itself over and over and over again. So if you do not know this, you're not going to be able to play anything else in the piece. So when you're first starting out, I would say the first day of practice, just work on these two measures. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. Let's play through it again slowly. The reason why we do staccato is, well, eventually we're going to do staccato in the piece, but we're doing staccato because we want to tell our brain exactly where to put each note. And then we're going through it really slowly because it's a difficult piece. I mean, it's a challenge to get each note and to change the strings. And so by going through it slowly, we're able to do that efficiently. Let's try it. One more time. And again. A lot of pieces, I typically recommend that you go through and you learn all the notes and then you add in the bowing. But in this piece, the bowing is crucial to understanding the entire piece of music. So we're going to go ahead and incorporate it right from the beginning. So we're going to play the first group of 8 notes in the lower half of the bow, and we're going to be staccato, but it's piano, so we need to be sort of light and fluffy. Then when we get to the G in the next measure, we're going to do a whole bow. And this is the most important part, because we need to get down from the frog all the way to the point in one bow stroke. If we don't, then we can't do the 2 next up bows as an up bow. We're going to run out of bow. So we're going to do the first 8 notes in the lower half of the bow. Now shoot down to the point, and then play the next 2 G notes, which are up, up. Let's try that again. You can play this in other ways, like you could try and do this in the middle half of the bow, especially the beginning 8 notes. But then what happens is you sort of run out of bow for the quarter notes in the next measure. So that's why it's really important that we start down here. Now, when I first said you need to start out with a really tough staccato note, this is important. But now we're going to go back and we're going to try and play a piano. So we want to be light and fluffy. So in some parts of this, we're going to play this staccato strong and in charge and forte. In other sections, we're going to play it light and quiet and airy. So that's why I started to have you do the forte first, because it's the hardest. It makes it just a little bit easier. Now we're going to do the piano, which is difficult because we still want to have short stoppy notes, but we want to have a light airy sound to it. Otherwise it sounds too harsh and it doesn't sound very good. So let's try that. So we're going to do staccato. We're going to lift our bow. We're going to turn our bow so we just have a little bit of bow on the string, and let's play the notes. Today, it kind of occurred to me that it's sort of like you're almost like floating up and then floating back down. It's that feeling of just being so light and airy that you're just barely touching the notes, as opposed to being really, really strong and directive, which is what we typically think about when we play staccato. Okay, so take all the time you need to get this right, because these two measures are crucial. Then moving on, the next two measures are a repeat. So let me play the first four measures for you. Then moving on, we have E, E, and then open E for tonal colors, and then D, D, and then, now, we're down here at the tip. For this group of 8 notes, we want to play them all in this top half of the bow. And then go on and get right back to the bottom half. So in some sections, you're actually going to play in the top half of the bow, but anytime you have a quarter note or a half note, use the entire bow and get to the top or to the bottom of the bow, because that's really, really important for the next set of notes. If you sort of do like this lazy, like kind of like, yeah, I want to play a little bit in the middle of the bow, it's just not going to end very well for you. Okay, so let's play that whole first section. Now, the next section is, surprise, the main melody, except this time we're playing it forte, so it needs to be big and bright and bold and strong. So we start out light and fluffy, and then we get to this same melody, and the only contrast that we have is the dynamics. So make sure that in this section we play loud and in charge, otherwise it doesn't make any difference. It'll just sound like you messed something up and repeated yourself. Okay, let's play that section. And then moving on, we have E, and then a group of 16 notes at the top half of the bow. Then we shoot back down to the base of the bow. Then another group of 8 notes. And then a triplet. So a triplet means that we're going to play 3 notes in one count. And then D, F, and then G. Now, did you notice the difference between the piano section and the forte section? There are all kinds of accents. That's because this is a big dynamic section. So we start out just soft and sweet and innocent, and then we get to the forte and we're like, pay attention to me. So really make sure that when you play the forte section that you're adding lots of dynamics and expression and following all of those accents, because it's really, really important. So let me play the first half of this so you can hear the difference between the piano and the forte and the difference in expression, and we'll go from there. Okay, so as you can see, the piano section, it's light, it's fluffy, it's airy. The forte section, it's still going to be somewhat fluffy, but it's going to be harder and more dynamic. And then make sure that you add in all of those accents. Anytime that you see an accented note, you should add vibrato, you should add a ton of expression to make this piece sound dynamic and interesting. So I hope you enjoyed learning about Minuet. In part 2, we'll go through the second half of the piece, and I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.